Welcome to part 4. Congratulations if you made it this far. Outcomes and impacts. So we want to know what happens after the war. So the Treaty of Paris, 1783, finally they give us a timestamp. So this helps me think along an axis, right? We can think of intervals and how one thing led to the other and led to the other, and maybe this helped lead to that, or this influenced this. So we know 1783 is when the Treaty of Paris is signed. Call that top right there. But what did it do? Well, I know we're dealing with outcomes and impacts. So, ended slavery in the colonies, formed the First Continental Congress, ended the American Revolutionary War, created the U.S. Constitution. Well, I know that the Constitution was 1787, 1788. Ended the American Revolutionary War, ended slavery in the colonies. Well, this just stands out to me as the most wrong answer because slavery persisted in the colonies until the Civil War. So we're not ending slavery in the colonies, or at least in the South, or in America generally, until 1865. Formed the First Continental Congress. Now, I would find that interesting that they formed the First Continental Congress at the end of the Revolution. We should know now that the First Continental Congress was a part of the reform stages of the Revolution. So the First Continental Congress was about organizing resistance. So we know the Treaty of Paris isn't going to do that. This is going to be too early in the timeline. So this is in the reform stages. This is earlier on in the Revolution. I'm going to rule that out. We know it didn't end slavery in the colonies because that only happens really until 1865 with the end of the Civil War. And the American Revolution was simply not a major war in order to end slavery. It was certainly a consequence of it, but it wasn't like the primary reason for the revolution, because we know many of the founding fathers owned slaves themselves, or owned Africans and enslaved them themselves. So that leaves us with ended the American Revolutionary War and created the Constitution. Well, if I know if it's in 1787, 1788, and this is when they become a new nation, they first have to secure their independence and end the war. So this is all after the revolution, and I can rule that out because at some point we need to end the revolution and secure independence, but it has to be before the Constitution is signed, and it has to be after the Continental Congress. And we know since slavery didn't end, this leaves us with B, ended the American Revolutionary War. Now this is something you can know in advance. This is again a 5th grade level question, but through historical reasoning, you could actually negotiate to the right answer.